Crawford's a sensational fighter. This guy is superhuman. This, you've never, listen, you guys cover boxing. When have you ever seen anything like this? Let's be honest about it. Rigondeaux was not a ham and egger. Rigondeaux was one of the great fighters, amateur, professional. Yeah, he stunk out an opponent, but nobody came close to beating him. I mean, he fought a guy like Donaire and destroyed Donaire. Donaire wasn't a ham and egger. Donaire was a hell of a fighter. But with Rigondeaux, he was nothing. So now Rigondeaux goes in with Lomachenko, and he is totally bewildered. He can't hit him with anything. He can't stop Lomachenko for hitting him. He doesn't know how to do it. He goes down like with his head to the ground, and suddenly Lomachenko's on the other side. It's something really, really spectacular.
Bob, were you surprised that Rigondeaux?
What?
Were you surprised that Rigondeaux didn't try to continue even though he was hurt?
You see, I would have been, but I'm not really, because this isn't the first guy that he made quit. Nicholas Walters, a hell of a fighter, courageous guy, made him quit, right? Sosa made him quit. You know, maybe Sosa's not in that category, but he made him quit because they can't do anything with him. They're getting hit, and they're going to get knocked out.
Is there anybody you think?
What?
Is there anybody you think that can compete with him? Maybe Mikey Garcia. Would you be open to making that fight?
I would put him in anybody with 135 pounds. Anybody in the world at 135. What? What?
If they don't release the result of X-rays or anything, because is this like Leonard Duran 2? Is this?
Could have what?
Is this like Leonard Duran 2? Like you're in the box?
No, it wasn't an Omas. Was Nicholas Walters an Omas? All right. Well, you know, they're getting paid money. They can't do anything. They're dizzy. They're going to get knocked out. So it's pretty smart for them to quit.
Do you believe Rigondeaux's hand or wrist?
Where? He didn't hit him with a punch. Where did he hurt his hand? In the dressing room?
Speak to the Lomachenko Garcia fight.
He played. Hopefully it'll be made. You got to pay these guys a lot of money because they're not stupid. They're great fighters. Garcia's a great fighter. Linares is a great fighter. But ask them deep down, do they have a chance with this guy? They'll tell you no.
Bob, you said that he's superhuman, right? Now, had he, if Crawford didn't go up to 47 and Loma went up that far, how would that fight play out?
I think right now he's feeling his way up. You have to understand what a great professional he is. He was fighting, I think he was going to fight Salido in a rematch, and Salido pulled out. So then we had to get an opponent, and we had Ray Beltran on the card. So we said, fight Beltran at 135. He said, no, I'm preparing to fight at 130. Huh? You want me to fight Beltran? Give me notice, and I'll fight him at 135. You're not dealing with a regular fighter here. You're dealing with a guy who's almost like a scientist when it comes to boxing.
I know you don't think Mikey Garcia can beat him. You probably couldn't. Can you hang with him?
What?
Can Mikey Garcia hang with him?
Mike Garcia is an excellent fighter. He'll hang with him until he's ready to get knocked out, and then he'll probably quit.
Who does Lomachenko think is the best?
What?
Who does Lomachenko think is the best?
Well, I think you should ask Lomachenko, because Lomachenko, when they asked him about Rigondeaux after the last fight was with who that he fought before Rigondeaux? So was it Sosa? No, I wasn't at the Sosa. Mariaga. So they asked Lomachenko if the fight is made, because we were talking about it with Rigondeaux, how would Rigondeaux do? He says same as the other guys.
Any update on Parker and Joshua?
Who?
Any update on Parker and Joshua?
Just that we're very, very close. It's going to happen.
Bob, did you think it maybe would look this easy? I mean, he was just dazzling.
Yeah.
You thought it would maybe be this easy?
With anybody. And he 135 pounder. Nobody's going the distance with this guy.
Do you have to go to 135 maybe quicker than you thought you would?
No, we'll see, you know. We'll see. You got to have a real ballsy 130 pounder, you know. A guy who wants to get a nice paycheck and, you know, knows that if he loses, his career isn't over. Because, I mean, who's going to beat this guy? Come on.
Bob, I don't know what's...
Come on, this is really special.
Hey, Bob, I'm not sure what's going on in Las Vegas.
What?
I'm not sure what's happening in Las Vegas right now.
Who?
If Salido wins, is that still a fight you're going to try to...
Yeah, well, of course we would offer Salido money. But after this, you know, Salido who won twice what Lomachenko gets paid.
What kind of chance do you give Parker against Joshua?
I give him a good chance. I think, well, we don't know. I think Joshua is a really good, exciting fighter, and he's great marquee and everything, and he's very ballsy, but I don't think he has a good chin. I really think his chin is suspect. And I think that Parker, who may not be the greatest boxer in the world, but Parker has a chin like I am. And I think he'll stay in there with Joshua, and he could knock Joshua out. I really believe that. And I think the same thing about Wilder. I think Wilder could knock Joshua out.
Do you think that Loma is the most unbeatable fighter at this moment now that you've ever had?
Yeah, I think he's the most unbeatable fighter that I've ever had. The only one that was different was Ali before the 3.5 years. Ali was unbeatable. And Ali, he was, you know, I mean, Ali was incredible. You know, we used to have bets how many punches Ali would get hit with in a fight, and usually the guy who bet single digits won.
Hey, Bob, how important is a night like this to showcase other guys who are on the card?
Well, that's why we're good promoters, because that's what we did. And we had every top executive from ESPN was here, including John Skipper, the head, Burke Magnus, Connor Schell. Every executive from ESPN was here, and they sent in Stephen Smith to do who's their big talent, to do a special thing. And they brought over a couple of the Heisman winners. Des Howard was here, Tim Tebow. So it was a great night.
You were doing the deal. To have it lead in like the Heisman Trophy or moving forward like the NBA All-Star Game like the night before, how important was it to have that kind of programming to lead into it?
That's why there's nothing like ESPN, because with all due respect to Showtime and HBO, who, let's be honest, carried boxing for so many years, because they were the only ones putting on boxing for decent money, right? Their lead-ins are Little House on the Prairie and, you know, shit like that, you know, which people, no, that's true, they're an entertainment network. This is a sport network, because you talk about a lead-in with the Heisman. Absolutely great. What about Alabama, Mississippi State, where Alabama wins by a touchdown, and they're interviewing Saban after the game and showing split screen Fresno, where they're going to go to in 2 minutes. You believe with the ratings, Birmingham, Alabama, where they never watched boxing, was the #1 highest rated area in the country, because they were all watching the Alabama game. I know he's next to him. He's going home to Ukraine. He's going to have the holiday there, and then we're going to talk about it. If Salido wants it, fine. Whoever wants it, we're happy to do.
You thinking March though, Bob?
Who?
March?
Yeah, March or April, yeah.
What about Christopher Diaz? Great buzz on him, Bob.
Yeah, thank you.
Christopher Diaz from Puerto Rico, great buzz.
Well, Christopher Diaz, if Loma goes, which he will, you know, next year, goes up to 135, then that'll leave 130 vacant, and I would ask Paco maybe because Valdez is talking about going to 130. Valdez and Diaz would be a hell of a fight.
What happened to Casey Reynolds?
Yeah, he's apparently he had something irregular with the heart, but they passed him, and then the kid was alarmed and went to his own doctor, who said better to not to go to the fight. No, why should he be disciplined? He was looking out for his health. I mean, I wouldn't. I mean, if it was me, if it was my son, I would tell him take off some time until we find out if there's anything wrong. You see, that's the internet. Did somebody connected with Pacquiao reach out from McGregor 2 months ago? They heard nothing back from McGregor. That's where it's at. So take that for what it is. Is it true that Pacquiao reached out from McGregor? Yes, but it's old news.
Is that a fight that you would want to be involved in?
I wouldn't. I would do it for Manny, but for me, if I promoted that fight, I would tell everybody up front, guess what? It's not a fucking fight. If you want a spectacle, you can watch it. But one thing I would be sure of is Manny wouldn't carry McGregor the way the other guy did.
Bob, have you heard any more news about Dana White getting any closer to being licensed as a promoter?
Well, I think he would get licensed right away because they certainly have the balance sheet. For me, that would be great. If Dana White started promoting boxing, it would be terrific because it would show what we have now proven, that boxing is not an old man's sport, that our demographics are young. We've been up against them twice, and we're up against them now for the third time, but a level playing field. Free television, ESPN, free television, Fox and FS1. And when it's free and kids, a lot of kids don't have premium television because they can't afford $15 a month. So when we got a level playing field, we beat the pants off them, not only just overall rating, but the demographics that everybody is looking for. So you guys, and at some extent everybody in boxing, really played into this demographic, this argument. Boxing is old, only old people watch it, young people don't watch it. It turns out, in the light of day, to be total bullshit, right? And it's not, credit for me. I think if some of the fights that are on Showtime and some of the fights that are on HBO moved to free television, they would get the same result as we did.
Do you see White working with anyone else?
Who gives a shit with White? He's a piece of crap.
But you just said you welcomed him to the sport.
Yes, because then it's an acknowledgement how strong boxing is. He has a UFC that's cratering, and he needs boxing to save himself.
All right, guys, we've got to keep moving. I'm sorry, but you got to go.
Okay.
We've got to keep you guys moving down.
All right.
Thank you.
All right.
Slide down.